Bino or Spabino. See, Black is in the building. I'm doing a quick one on this one. Talk to my man Millionaire Cali. This show is in regards to when something that was known as the Creels game. When it first hit, like I told you, it was the party drug. And, the who's of was the scenes were like the first real custies of it. 90% of the custies in the hard game was the working class because most of the working class was messing with the powder, and then they transitioned to the the hard game. Nobody's seen the pandemic happening because it was still a party thing. People was partying hard, and that was the they called it the rich man high. So the rich man high turned into which was a club thing. Went from the club to the households. Now, since it was a social drug, people would find somebody's house to go to, and that's why a lot of us know each other, because a lot of our parents that was doing it, not everybody, but a lot of parents that did it, they always migrated to somebody's house. And when you're the young kids, they put all the young kids in one room, and they'll be partying for 2-3 days. I told you it was still a rich man thing. The average person you seen that was doing the white was either a hustler, a man at the post office man, the man that worked for housing. It didn't. We really didn't see the dirt bags until like 88, 89. You know what I'm saying? It was really bad, man. But we seen that when it hit about 86, 87, it was night of the living bases. It started, good people started selling furniture, refrigerators was popping up missing. It was that beam me up. They called it the beam me up Scotty era. You know what I'm saying? People was beaming, going crazy off that. You know what I'm saying? And it was a lot of money. Because remember, I keep telling you, it was a lot of the working class that was doing it. A lot of the hustlers. So when he made it, certain. All right, get it like this. Somebody who had a brick, I might have took them 2 weeks to get rid of a brick. Now, when they made the other stuff, and they was promoting that in the clubs and whatever they was doing, dudes was taking that to the club. It went to the easier. If we make the process easier, can it be purchased? You gotta keep in mind when you put something up your nose, people noses, it was messing with their noses, and these were nosebleeds. So they instead of them giving the drug up, they went for the smoking technique, feeling that they get the same high, and that's what sort of took over. Took off. That took off, man. The light of the living bass says. When you seen that Public Enemy video, it got real like that in the streets. Crack valves and parks. People were smoking that everywhere they go because it was still a social thing. You were still accepted for doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we get frowned upon that. But at one point in time, that was the end thing. Even if somebody went and bought 4 dimes of soft, some people cooked it up and brought it back. But remember, the process was different. All that ether, all that craziness. Now, all of a sudden, you can just buy it already put together, and you got that. They made the process easier to purchase, to cop and go. And once you made the process easier, it became a multi-million-dollar game. Yes, that was serious, man. You had zombies. We looked up 42nd Street, Grand Central Station, Port Authority. People were sleeping on floors. If you went to Morningside Park, people was living in Morningside Park. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was, and by, like I told you, people was transitioning from the soft to the hard. It got even crazier. And then it just became a norm, like a part of everyday life, that this was the lifestyle, this was the culture. So now when we speak about the preem teams, and we speak about the Rich Porters, and we speak about the Fritz, you know what I'm saying? They've come from that era, and that era was different. You know what I'm saying? So my generation that was growing up, or just probably the guys that was younger, they couldn't wait to get hold of a pack because a lot of their parents was partying. So, you know, a lot of dudes was just hustling to put food on their table. A lot of dudes was hustling to buy a brand new pair of sneakers. You know what I'm saying? You know, packing bags packing bags began to play out when your mom's is getting high. You know what I'm saying? Packing bags play out when your mom's is taking an SSI check and she's going to get high. You know what I'm saying? So dudes found other ways, you know what I'm saying, digging pockets, you know, boosting. That's why a lot of things that y'all hear about that y'all thought was just people losing their mind, it was a bunch of poor kids bugging. You know what I'm saying? When you had the low lives that was boosting, they wasn't boosting to be, they was boosting to be fashionable, but they was selling a lot of that polo stuff. A lot of that low was getting sold, you know what I'm saying? When Brooklyn cats bust open a jewelry store window at a jewelry store, and they was snatching all the jewels up, they was selling this. It was a hustle, because a lot of us had parents, or at least a parent who got high. So by they had a parent that got high, we had to find a way to survive. It's definitely right the live in basis, man, and that's the content though that we've been having lately. The next show I'm gonna do. Me and Westview Jack, we're going to touch on the Bambaataa situation, Zulu Nation, and how Bambaataa was a millionaire in hip-hop before 1989. In hip-hop alone, Bambaataa. Peace, 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 peace. Chefness, chiefness, chiefess, you know what I'm saying? He was a millionaire before 89 with hip-hop. We're going to touch more on it. There's a lot of information that's out there. And a lot of information we didn't pay attention to. There was tours that was going on that was bigger than hip-hop tours. Like when the New York City Breakers and the Varsity Crew went on these hip-hop breakdancing tours across the world, those were bigger tours than hip-hop tours. There really wasn't no hip-hop tours. Russell Simmons and them put together like one of the first ones. But you know what I'm saying? We had the, I guess, the New York City Breakers breakdance in front of, I guess, George Bush. But then a lot of those guys that started coming back off the tour, they started playing in that game. You know what I'm saying? The game, it began to saturate. It became a way of business, because you gotta think, there's a whole generation that grew up. If your mother was a nurse, now she's in the crib, she done sold everything. BCW, they didn't come around until it got drastic. BCW didn't care about you. Somebody had to physically call on you. And back then, unless you had an aunt or grandmother who cared about you, that's why a lot of guys grew up with their grandmothers. That's why a lot of dudes is cool with their grandmother, because their mother would not give the club up. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't give going outside up. You know, we seen a lot of good dudes that was good dudes. Mailmen, those were the first ones, the hustlers. Those were the first ones to really start doing that. You know what I'm saying? Remember, they thought that they could do it because they thought it was just like the other stuff, but it was different. It had a different rush, and that changed the game. You know what I'm saying? In economics. So as I'm speaking about the Fritzes and the Rich Porters, and like I said, Supreme and the Corleys, you know, a lot of poor kids found a way to make some money, man, and started to save because it wasn't looked at. Do I think Bam had to, it was poppin'. Do I think he had to do whatever in order to become successful? He was on that scene, you know what I'm saying? I know he was on some tribal type of stuff, but you know what I'm saying? He was on the scene, but it probably wasn't a ritual. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like they said, man, some people put their integrity on the line for $1 million, you know what I'm saying? Because Bam was definitely in the loop. You know, he was doing shows that was on TV. He was a part of a blockbuster movie, Consulting. He was a part of putting elements together that became hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? G-Dub's in the building, Bomb Beach, salute. So, Chefness, yeah. He did something. Yep, I believe he did something. Yeah, he definitely did because that's the crowd that snatched him up. They needed. He had a movement that he called hip hop. The question is, who incorporated the word hip hop? That's it. That's that. The first guy to mention hip hop in a magazine was the same guy that did graffiti rock with Bambaataa. The first guy that he helped do Beat Street with Bambaataa. Is that the guy who owns the word hip hop? Who actually not own it, but so much incorporated it? That's some deep stuff, man. We seen what tribe came up off of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Bambaataa was close to a millionaire before '89. Easy eating off everything that dealt with hip hop at that point in time, not just in the club. See, we seen minimum Bambaataa. Hip hop was already an explosion in Europe already. Yeah, dudes ain't know. You're bringing somebody to an art gallery that that had a black book that was making graffiti, and somebody went and blew his picture up and sold that picture to somebody for $100,000, auctioned it up for $250,000. These dudes was doing over graffiti. They was bringing dudes from graffiti artists to art galleries, mixing them with the rich. This is before the rapper blew. This is way before Sugar Hill Gang took off to the top and everything. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop was in motion through graffiti, breakdancing, and DJing. That was the element of hip hop. But I gotta go. Holla at you later. Peace.